Hi, and welcome to Noble Character Crafts. My name is Amy, and I am coming to you from eastern Nebraska, where I live with my husband and our 5 children. Today is Friday, June 11th, 2021. A huge welcome to any new or returning viewers. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you really enjoy this episode. This is a channel all about my crafty life, and today I have knitting, crocheting, cross stitch, and a shop update for my project bags that I have made. You can find me online on Instagram and Etsy at Noble Character Crafts, and you can get in contact with me through my email at noblecharactercrafts@yahoo.com. I will have links to the places that you can find me in the description box below, as well as show notes for this episode. I am hosting a year-long make-along this year called Make 9 2021 Mal on Instagram. I will have a description with details for this make-along in the description box below if you would like some more information about it. But basically, you're just joining in the Make 9 challenge, choosing 9 projects that you would like to make this year. So I hope that if you haven't already joined in, that you will please feel free to continue to join in the make-along. You can join in at any time. And of course, thank you to everybody who has continually joined in throughout the year. It's so much fun to see all of the projects that you all are making. Throughout the year, I have been periodically choosing prizes for those that have been participating in the make-along. And I have a couple of prizes to give away today. One of the viewers of this podcast, Joy, sent over a huge box of beautiful goodies for me to give away. And so I have another prize that was sent from Joy. This is a beautiful sock set from Lolo Did It. And the main color here is called the Killer Bees. It's on her plush sock base, which is 75% superwash merino wool, 15% nylon, and 10% tencel. And then the mini that goes along with it is called Bumble. And this is a 20-gram mini. And the base for this one is her everyday sock. So that doesn't say what the makeup of that is, but I'm sure that if you went to the Lolo Did It website, you'd be able to see the makeup of it. My assumption is that it's a 75-25 blend, but I'm not sure on that. But anyway, those go so well together. So that will be a set that is gifted. And I use random number generator, and then I go through the Instagram posts and count out. So it's kind of a lengthy process. I wish there was an easier way to choose a random number generator through Instagram. If there is, and you know about it, let me know, because I don't know of one, and it's kind of time consuming to choose a winner for that using that hashtag. But anyway, the winner that I got for this set is Tio He Knits, who is Essie on Instagram. So congratulations. If you can please get in contact with me either through my email, or you can send me a direct message on Instagram and let me know your full name and mailing address. I'll be so happy to get this off in the mail to you. Thank you so much for participating in the Make 9 2021 mail. And then I have another prize to give away as well. This prize I had announced as a giveaway several episodes ago, and the winner never contacted me. So I wanted to give this to a different winner instead. And so I chose another random winner, and that is Kimbuck27. Kim, congratulations. Why don't you go ahead and send me a message? I think I probably have your address, because I'm pretty sure that you have purchased something from me before. But if you can please get in contact with me and let me know your full name and mailing address as well, I would be so happy to get this off to you. This is another sock set, and this is from Willow Tree Yarn. Isn't that beautiful? I love the colors in this one. This is on her Casual 2 base, which is a 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, and the colorway is called Aurora. I'm not sure if that's just for the main one or if she kind of called this sock set Aurora, but that's what it's labeled as. So, and it also comes with this cute little stitch markers or progress keeper as well. So those are the 2 prizes that I have to give away this time. Again, thank you so much to everybody who has been participating. Continue to do so. I will continue to choose prizes for people that are participating throughout the year. So please don't hesitate to continue to join in the make-along. Today I am wearing a crocheted top that I made last summer. It's called the Ripples in the Stream Shell, and it's a design by Doris Chan. I knit this last summer, and I crocheted this last summer using We Are Knitters, the cotton wool in the light gray colorway. And it's just really nice to be able to wear, you know, handmade garments even in the warmer months. So I really love that I have this garment, and I would love to make some more summer appropriate garments to be able to wear throughout the warmer months. I do not have any finished objects to share with you all this week, but I have 5 works in progress, so I am going to get on to those. My first work in progress is being held in this cute bag from My Creative Frenzy on Etsy. And this is one of the projects from my personal Make 9 2021 list. This is a pair of socks called the Dunbrock Socks. It's a beautiful pattern by Kay Jones of the Bakery Bears. I have made quite a good amount of progress on these. This progress keeper up here is marking where I was last time I recorded a video. So I've finished the legs. I have done the heels and the gusset decreases. It is a slip stitch heel flap, and then the heel is called a square heel, which I have never done before. So that was nice to try a new heel. I don't prefer it to the regular heel that I normally do, but actually I don't know what the name of that is. I typically follow the heel that I'm used to is the one that is in all of the Crazy Sock Lady sock patterns. I've knit the most of her patterns, and if I'm just making a regular pair of socks not following a pattern, I use her pattern for the heels. So whatever that is. But anyway, this is called a square heel, and I had trouble getting my SSK or slip slip knit stitches to be tight enough. On the heel that I'm used to doing, when you're doing the SSK stitch, doing the heel turn, you do that SSK stitch and then you do one more knit stitch after that, and so you can really tighten up that knit stitch after the SSK, which seems to help me get that SSK stitch tighter. But with these instructions, you didn't have that stitch. You just did the SSK stitch and then you turned your work and went the other way. So I'm thinking maybe that was the issue, why it was so loose. I had to go back in and I took an extra piece of yarn and kind of tightened up my stitches because I just couldn't get them to be tighter. You can really see that this side is tighter and this side is pretty loose. I'm obviously knitting these 2 at a time on US 1 2.25 millimeter needles. These are ChowGoo red lace, which I use for all of my knitting projects. I'm making the medium size, which is a 64 stitch count sock. And I only did the ribbing for 20 rows. The original pattern calls for 29 rows because it's meant to be a cuffed over, or, you know, you're supposed to roll over the cuff, but I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to do my standard 20 rounds for the cuff. Now it has this beautiful patterning that is really getting lost in because of the yarn that I've chosen, but you can still see the texture here. This is, I think, what's called a broken rib texture throughout throughout most of the sock, and then along each side there is this kind of a mock cable pattern running right here, and then that's mirrored on this side. But it's pretty hard to see with this dark tweed yarn. The yarn that I'm using is Knit Picks Stroll Tweed in the Sequoia Heather colorway. It is a fingering weight yarn, 65% superwash merino wool, 25% nylon, and 10% Donegal tweed. It's so beautiful. And I kind of assumed that it would be maybe difficult to see the patterning, but I just loved the color of this yarn and thought I would try it. And it's okay that the cabling isn't showing up too clearly. I think it's a little more clear in person than on camera maybe, but not a lot. it's kind of lost, but I mean, they're socks anyway. Nobody's really gonna see my socks anyway. So I just do it because I enjoy making patterned socks. So that's okay. This marker down here is a row counter that I got from Twill and Print. And it's so handy because it's an 8-row repeat and I can keep track of what row I'm on. I forgot to switch it though, and I'm on row 1 right now instead of row 8. So every morning I have been picking up this project first thing and just knitting 1 pattern repeat. So that has worked out really well to continue to get a little bit of progress on these, because I was just finding that I wasn't gravitating towards picking this project up. So I'm just kind of making myself be disciplined and putting in that time first thing in the morning to get 1 pattern repeat done every day so that I can make a little bit of progress each day on these at least. I really, I'm about halfway through the foot though, so hopefully I won't have too much more to do on, too many more days of knitting on those. They should be done fairly soon, within a week I would guess. My next work in progress is in this me-made scrappy project bag. And very fittingly, there's a scrappy project in it. This is another project off of my personal Make 9 list. This is the Miley Hexagon Motif pattern, which is a free pattern by Emma of Potter and Bloom. And I had started this several years ago and intended to make it into a blanket, but I have decided instead to make it into a shawl. And I am so happy with how it's coming along. It's getting pretty big, so here you can see how it's coming. It's pretty wide. And what I am doing is I am just trying to copy the shape of the Kimba shawl that I made earlier this year, which is a pattern by Amba O'Brien, and it has a nice crescent shape to it that I really like, and so I'm trying to kind of copy the shaping of that shawl, placing the hexagons as well as I can to try to get a crescent type shape. So my idea is to kind of taper off these ends a little bit more into more like a triangular shape, I guess, at the ends here. So that's what I am working on. Last time I recorded an episode, you can see this adorable little progress keeper on here, which is a cute little frosted donut with sprinkles on it that my cousin Allie made for me, and I love it so much. So that was where it's kind of hard to show progress with motif, crochet patterns, but I had just added this row right here last time I had showed this project off. And so since then I have added 2 more rows to the outside edge, I guess, this row and then this row. So I think that's 11 hexagons that I've added, yes, to this side. And then I've mirrored that on this side, but I'm not quite done. So I've done 1 complete row of the, let's see, it's so hard to tell on camera. I've added 1 complete row. Where am I? Oh, okay, I know. Sorry, it takes me a while to get my bearings looking at this in the camera. Okay, I've added this row right here with these 6, and I'm adding another row of 5, but I've only added this 1 gold one. It's not even complete. It's only halfway done because I ran out of yarn. I need to wind up another skein of the Bear yarn that I'm using. So for this project, I am in the original pattern that Emma has on her blog is for fingering weight, but I am using DK weight. For the center rounds, I am using scraps of DK weight that I have in my stash. And then the second and third rounds, I am using a Bear DK weight yarn that is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. And I am using an H5mm hook. It's a clover hook. And I am joining the hexies as I go. So it's going really well. this is not, this is a project that I only work on here at home because, with all the little pieces, it's just not a very travelable project. So I haven't put a ton of work into this one since I showed it to you last, but it's just kind of a nice project to work on here and there, and it's fun to see it grow little by little. So I'm really enjoying it. It's going to be so pretty, I think. I'm really excited about this as a shawl. My next work in progress is in this beautiful bag from Tanny Casey. And in here is a sweater that I am making for myself. And I'm trying to use up a lot of my Knit Picks Wool of the Andes that I've had in my stash for several years. I had gathered up all of my Knit Picks Wool of the Andes yarn, and I had started a blanket that I showed you in the last episode that I recorded. I haven't been able to work on that blanket yet at all because I really want to finish this sweater first before I get back to that blanket. But while I was sorting all of my wool of the Andes, I had a lot of quantities of these 6 colors, and they were all in these dark colors, and I just thought it would be so fun to put them together to make a striped sweater in these dark colors. So Knit Picks Wool of the Andes is a worsted weight, and it's 100% non-superwash Peruvian Highland wool. The 6 colors that I'm using are Coal at the top here, and that's just a solid black color. Lava Heather, Onyx Heather, Currant, Bittersweet Heather, and Merlot Heather. Last time I recorded, I had pretty much finished the body, but I hadn't quite finished the ribbing because I wasn't sure how long I wanted to make that. So, and I had just maybe picked up the stitches for the first sleeve, I think. So I was able to finish the first sleeve. I actually did the first sleeve. I knit the first sleeve, and when I got to this coal colored stripe, I started doing decreases the first time that I knitted this sleeve, but I didn't like it. It was just too tight. And so I went back to my standard way of knitting sleeves where I did not do any decreases for the entirety of the sleeve until I got to the cuff, and then I just did a rapid decrease. And I like the fit of this much better. So for the sleeve, I just did a knit 1, knit 2 together, repeat all the way around, and that got me to 40 stitches, and I then did the 2x2 ribbing in the Merlot Heather colorway. I'm going to be using the Merlot Heather for all of the ribbing. So then I went back and continued with the ribbing for the bottom to match the length that I did for the sleeve cuffs, which I believe is a total of 16 rows or rounds. The pattern that I'm using for this very loosely is the Gigi pattern by Devin Ventry of Knitty McPurly, but really I'm only using that pattern. I only used that pattern for the cast on number of stitches, and then I used her directions for the raglan increases. Otherwise, I'm kind of doing my own thing. So I guess I also probably followed her directions to know how many stitches to pick up on the underarm. But otherwise, my numbers were off from her numbers because I just kind of did my own thing. I'm also going to be making this into a cardigan. So I knit it in the round, and I added 6 steek stitches to the center front here, and that is where I'm going to be cutting open this sweater into a cardigan. So after I finish this next sleeve, it will be time for me to, I'll use my sewing machine. I have a walking foot that I can use on my sewing machine, and I will sew a line on either side of this center front to stabilize the stitches, and then I'll just cut it open down the front. That's where I changed my yarn colors as well. So on the inside, I've just tied those ends together with a knot and clipped off the ends, and then I'm going to be cutting right through there anyway, so it won't matter, and I don't have to weave in all those ends for the body. I do have to weave in all the ends on the sleeves, but I actually already did that on the first sleeve. So gotten that part done at least. You can see that right here. That's where I wove in my ends as I changed colors on the sleeves. So anyway, I'm happy with that. I was really hoping that I could make the sleeves follow the color repeat, so that when I got to the Bittersweet Heather colorway, I could just go into the Merlot Heather for the ribbing. But it just didn't work out. They were like at an awkward length, and I wanted them to be full length. And so anyway, I just had to add a few more color stripes before I could add the ribbing, but it's fine. The body follows the pattern for the color stripes. I am doing 8 rounds for each color stripe. And oh, the needles I'm using are US 7 4.5 millimeter needles for the body, and then I'm going down to a US 6 4 millimeter for all the ribbing. So I feel like I'm forgetting to tell you something about this, but I don't know. I just have a few more stripes on the second sleeve, and I'm so excited to get this done. I really want it done because I really want to work on the blanket. If you watched my last episode, then you will know what I'm talking about, that I started a new blanket and I'm so excited about it. But I am really enjoying this project, but I'm now to the point where I'm like, okay, I want to get it done. I want to move on. But it's okay. I'm sure it'll go quickly from here. So yeah, I need to cut open the steek, and then I'll do the button band ribbing, and then I think the collar is the last thing. I will use the instructions for the Gigi cardigan to kind of get an idea on how to do that as well, but I'll be kind of doing my own thing also for that. So anyway, but again, I'm kind of loosely using Devon's pattern, so, which I have knit before, although I didn't really follow it very, I made a lot of modifications the first time I made that pattern as well, but I really love the fit of that sweater, so that's why I decided to use those numbers again. My next work in progress is in this beautiful bag that I received from Mary Ann of Rock Islander in a swap that we did several years ago. And in here is a project that I am making off of my Make 9 2021 gift list that I made. So I made 2 boards, one for myself and one for gift projects. This is the Black Frost Shawl by Melanie Rice. And I've made a little bit of progress on this project as well. It's kind of hard to show. Last time I recorded, I was here where this beautiful black raspberry marker is marking. That is from Million Dots. I will link to her shop in the description box below as well. I checked her Etsy shop recently, and she does have markers available in her Etsy shop, which I don't think she always does. I feel like I've checked at other times and she hasn't had her shop open. So there are some things in her shop now, so that's super exciting. I am using some stash yarn from Loops and Threads. It's called Impeccable, and it is a worsted weight 100% acrylic in the classic gray colorway. I had gotten this yarn for a blanket that I had wanted to make, but it turned out that this yarn was too thick paired with the other yarn that I was using for that blanket. So I decided to make this yarn. I have 4 skeins of this yarn, and I decided to make this into a shawl that I can gift to somebody down the road. I don't know who this will be gifted to, but I just thought that this pattern was beautiful and thought it would work well to have this as a gift. So the needles I'm using, the recommended needles are US 8 5mm needles. I am using those for my knit rows, and then I was using a US 6 4mm for the purl rows because my purl stitches are looser than my knit stitches. But actually I found that with that needle size, my knit stitches were looser than my purl stitches. So now I've gone up to a 7 4.5mm needle for my purl stitches to try to get a more even gauge. I feel like this project is just a good gauge swatch for me to really try to get a handle on my purl stitches and trying to get them even with my knit stitches. I have had a few recommendations from viewers on different tutorials that I can watch, and I really, really appreciate that. I still want to try Portuguese knitting to try to use the purling methods for my I want to try to use the Portuguese method for my purl stitches. I haven't tried that yet. I really want to try that on a small dishcloth sometime soon. I have watched a lot of other tutorials to try to get some techniques, some tips on how to tighten up my purl stitches. So I guess I kind of have, maybe because I did have to go up to a US 7 4.5 millimeter for my purl stitches. I know that my rows are still not even, and you can obviously see that on camera. It drives me crazy, but I don't know. I also feel really frustrated with this because I never feel like I had this issue when I first learned how to knit, and now I've been knitting for 4 years, and now I guess maybe I'm just noticing it more, or maybe my gauge is just loosened up on my purl stitches where it never used to be, or I don't know what my issue is, but it's really frustrating to be 4 years into this craft. And I mean, of course, that's still not a lot of time, but I don't know. It's frustrating to not have a very even gauge with this project, but I don't know. It's not as noticeable in person, maybe. I don't know. I think it's okay, but I'm a little bit frustrated with my gauge. Anyway, this pattern is very, very simple at this point. It just has these yarn over details along the edges, but otherwise it's just stockinette until I get to a certain number of stitches, which I'm getting pretty close to that number, and then there will be a lace section at the bottom. So that's going well. I'm still only on my first skein of yarn though, so, and that's still got quite a bit of yarn left there, so I'm sure I've got plenty of yarn. I hope so anyway. But that one is nice too. This is a good travel project at this point, although once I get to that lace section, it's not going to be as easy to travel with that project. My last work in progress is in this Me Made project bag. And this is my cross stitch project. So I've really been enjoying this. I have not done a ton of cross stitch in my life, barely any, and none for a really long time. But I picked up this beautiful kit from Walmart by Dimensions. It's called Be a Light, and it's a kit, so it came with everything that I needed, so that was great. And Erica of the Rose Opal Knits podcast also got this kit last year, and she started this project, and so that really motivated me to pick up this project as well and start it. So ever since then, every morning I have been cutting one length. My threads are getting all tangled together. I hope I don't get into a huge mess eventually with that, but anyway, I have been cutting one length of this string off and stitching that into this project every morning. So most of the colors take 2 strands, and so I've just been cutting off those strands and stitching them into the project until that thread is all used up. So that's been really fun to work on this project consistently every morning. I will put a picture in here of the progress that I had on this last time I showed this on an episode so that you can compare it with how I am doing now. So I'm really happy with how I have progressed with this project. It's really coming along, and I'm having so much fun working on this every morning, and I'm happy with how it's looking. I think it's so much fun. So last time, that picture I had just started this is the middle one of the 3 jars. And so I've got a lot of that done and have gotten a lot of work done on the first jar as well, and a little bit on the 3rd one as well. So yeah, it's really a lot of fun to work on. I'm enjoying it. these dark stitches on this dark Aida cloth were a little bit tricky. I do have a good light that I can work with, but it's definitely tricky. But I did question, why are we putting such dark thread on such dark cloth? But I guess that's just how you get the realistic look of the picture. It is a 14 count Aida fabric. So yeah, I'm really, really happy with this. And I have been looking at more cross stitch projects online, but I decided that I'm not gonna buy any more kits until this one is finished, because knowing me and my tangents with crafts, sometimes they just don't stick. So I know that I will always do knitting and crocheting, but I occasionally pick up new crafts and then I only stick with them for a little while. So I'm not sure if I will stick with cross stitch for very long, but I'm enjoying it right now anyway. Lastly, I finally have all, well, this isn't all, I have almost 50 bags that are sewed up and ready to go for my shop update. It has been a very, very long time coming, and I know so many of you have mentioned that you are really excited about this shop update, and you've been so patient to wait for me to finally get them all done. It's taken me so very long, but I do have a good amount of stock built up now, and I'm so excited that they are all done and ready to be put into the shop. So I will be having a shop update on Wednesday, June 16th at 10 a.m. Central Time. And the bags that I will be putting into my shop are 3 different fabrics, 3 different sizes of each fabric. So the first one is this handkerchief fabric with the denim contrast. All of my bags are drawstring. They all have an interior pocket, and they all come with this clasp with 6 stitch markers, closed stitch markers attached to them. And they come in 3 different sizes. So this is the small size, medium, and large. And you could see that the interior fabric is this fun red and white checkered gingham for this one. The next fabric is this beautiful floral fabric, which I love. This, I think, is my favorite. So this has just some beautiful purple flowers. And again, it's paired with the denim. The inside is this light purple with white polka dots. And then for this one, I have a silver clasp with stitch markers instead of the brass colored one on the other bags. Again, there's the small, medium, and large sizes for this fabric. And lastly, I have this black floral. So this is such a beautiful fabric as well. It also has, you can see a bit of variety in the flowers on these different, cuts of the fabric. But this one is lined with a black and white gingham. And again, it has the brass colored clasp and stitch markers. So I hope that if you are interested in picking up one of these project bags, that you will be able to catch that shop update. Thank you so much for your patience again and waiting for me to finally get them all ready. But if you are interested, please feel free to check out my Etsy shop on Wednesday morning, June 16th at 10 a.m. So I think that's all that I have to share with you all today. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you really enjoyed this episode. If you did, please feel free to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. If you haven't already, I would appreciate that so much. I hope you all are doing well. Take care. Bye-bye.